Okay, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining in on this session tonight. My name is Charlie Rizzuto. I'm a physical education and health teacher from Long Island, New York. I will be your moderator tonight. Before we get going, just a few housekeeping notes. First of all, we want to welcome everybody to the Phys Ed Summit from the ESPE chat. You could follow the chat tonight on Twitter using the hashtag PhysEdSummit and the hashtag ESPE chat, which stands for Elementary School Physical Education. The summit is designed for elementary physical education and providing physical education for every child. We're an offshoot of the original Phys Ed Summit program, and there's been a few Phys Ed Summits to this point, and all of them have been phenomenal professional development opportunities. I want to remind everybody we're using technology tonight, so when you ever use technology, things can go wrong from time to time. If that were to happen, we're going to work in the background as quickly as we possibly can to get everybody back online and back presenting as soon as possible. This session is about English language learners in physical education and how to engage them as much as possible, as often as possible, and to the greatest degree as you possibly can. We have two tremendous physical educators with us tonight, Neal and Veronica Becerra, and they are going to give their presentation. You can communicate with me and them through the back channel through Tozzle, so you could share questions, and I will do my best to pass them on to the ladies. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Neal, and she will get us kicked off with tonight's presentation.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Neal, and I work in the Peel District School Board in Ontario, Canada. That's just west of Toronto. And my school population is very multicultural, and we have many people from the South Asian community, as well as the Caribbean community, as well as from all over Asia and the Middle East. So we have a lot of different languages being used at our school every day, and that's what brought me into this chat. Veronica, do you want to say anything about yourself?
Yes, thank you, Mary. I am in Windsor, Colorado. I am originally from California, where I taught mostly in the Los Angeles area for 15 years. With mostly English learners, Spanish speakers, and other nationalities and backgrounds. Back to you, Mary.
Okay, I'm going to just share the Tozzle page. I'm sure you're all on it right now. Let me see how that goes. All right. Bear with me, people. And I say share. Thank you. And I just want to share with you that if you can see my screen now.
Yes.
And this is right here at the links is a link to our slide presentation. So if you were taking notes furiously or you missed something, it's here, as well as the YouTube channel for this presentation. So you can actually hear this presentation again when you need to. And we want to let you know that you're going to need a piece of paper and a writing utensil for Veronica's part of the presentation, so make sure you go into that. And if you want to say hi to us, just go over here to the chat section on Tozzle, tell us your name and where you're from. I'm just going to do that. And you already know I'm from Canada. Okay, so now I'm going to go, now you know where we're having Charlie look, and he'll tell us any questions. You can write them down there. And I'm going to try to share, cancel. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. And I'm going to cancel this. Sorry, guys. Do you see anything? Do you see yourselves?
I see you.
We see you. Now we see Veronica.
Okay. All right. I'm going to try again to share my screen, get this thing started up again. Just give me a sec. All right. Love it when technology works. I suppose it's this one. Now I'm going to put it into presentation mode. All right, again, welcome. The links I talked about there, I also have some links that are in the actual chat that we had going there. One is to an All-Star Award, or you could use it for Stop and Rethink for behaviors. It teaches you how to make a Google form and shows you how the kids can use the voice-to-text option so that they don't have to type. So it's good for primary kids, and it's good for kids with ELL who need that help. You could even help them. They could tell you what they did, and you could voice it in there for them. Also, I put a link to We Belong program from PHE Canada. They have a booklet. If you visit their website, that link there. They also have some videos about how to start after-school programming to encourage newcomer youth to get engaged in physical activity. And it's based on the developmental assets from the Search Institute. And I recommend checking that out if you need to understand how to engage with your newcomer community. Okay, so ELL and cultural diversity. This is from my presentation at the FISID Summit 3.0. And what ELL learners need is visuals. Okay, for example, what I was talking about, my presentation was on self-regulation. So here we are, visuals of rules and expectations that are easy to read and that have few phrases, like the frog presentation up there. That's called the Kelso's Choice Wheel. It gives ways for kids to talk it out. It shows a visual of what it looks like when we're for each one of those things, like stop, tell them to stop and talk it out, or walk away. I create looks like, sounds like, feels like posters with my kids so they can get, in kind of like a role play and think about what my agreements in my gym are. Basically, I have the tribes agreements, which are mutual respect, appreciation, no put downs. You can see it here. Further talking with Veronica, she goes, you know what, we need to, if I was going to make some improvements, I would take out all those big words that really are hard for ELL learners to understand, like mutual. Just go with respect and no put downs, that type of thing. And over here I still have Mr. Graham's one rule of the gym, which is great, is respect. Respect the teachers, others, and equipment. So it's key to have few rules or few words when you're speaking and make it clear phrases. I talked about the Google Voice to Text, and you can view that video at any time. It's there on the Tassel. We both agree, Veronica and I, that you need to buddy the student with someone else who can speak their home language and let them speak in home language as they're working out their problems in gym. And Rachel Azert, who's also presenting at ESP eChat Summit, she is going to be talking about modeling, interactive modeling, it's called, from being in a responsive classroom. So that's actually showing the kids what you want and having them tell you what they see. So she'll have a great presentation on that. Now, it's important to get that, understand the cultural diversity that you have, not just assume that everybody comes in with the ability to play baseball, for example. Discuss and compare, have the kids go home, discuss rules that they have at home and at place of worship and in the community. Find out and be sensitive to cultural practices. What kind of dress can they wear? Can you have both genders participating at the same time? Ways you can find that out is to host a family fitness open night, open house, and build community relationships. I have two contacts here, Aviva Rosenberg, she's at FIA, and Ted Termertzelagu. Sorry, Ted. His life is athletic. And again, We Belong PE Canada. Now, I'm just going to see if that's it for me? No. Oh, We Belong. So again, the resources are there. It talks again about being sensitive to cultural practices, allowing participants to speak in their first language. It notes that music, when we play music, is a language that connects many people and over different cultures and generations. So using music in your program would be helpful. Physical activity in this program is a vehicle to integration and inclusion in our community, and this program, like I said, uses the assets of community to develop programs and make links to physical activity for newcomers in the community. Now, I am going to stop sharing. I'm just going to show you the We Belong resource. It's about $30, but I think it would be worth it if you're interested in finding, if not for yourself, stakeholders in your community, and that's what you need. You need those trust people, the people in your community trust. They're the go-to. They're the conduit for getting programs off the ground for newcomers. Is to find, for example, in my school, it would be the settlement worker. She comes in and she talks to the new families that come in, and I could liaison with her to find out who the community leaders are, who the cultural leaders are in the community, and find out who is the person that plays cricket and bring them in. And when they trust those people in their own community and they see them engaging in physical activity, that will bring a lot of them in. So again, that's the PE Canada We Belong. And Ted, you might know him from Thompson Publications. We use these. I'm just putting them in front of me. We use these functional fitness cards every day, or a lot, maybe every week in our classroom, where the visuals are impeccable. They are completely, if the kid didn't know how to read English, if they could look at the picture, look at the angles of the children doing their exercise and mimic what that is, they could get a workout done. So that's functional fitness cards from Thompson Publications, and Ted T at Life is Athletic does these ones, and my kids are very successful at doing games and things with these types of activity cards, so the visuals are important. I think that's it for me, Veronica, so if you'd like to continue and share your screen, we can go ahead and do that.
I will do that. Thank you, Mary. This will be a good time if we have any questions to answer so far.
We don't have. Yeah, we don't have many questions to this point, ladies.
Okay.
Awesome.
Then I will share my screen. Well, that's not what I want. Where's my presentation? Here it is. Present.
There you are.
There I am. Great. So helping our students learn. I have two great books here that are helping me with some of the strategies for English learners. One of them is called 50 Strategies for Teaching English Language Learners, and both books talk about using the strategies consistently and making sure that we use them in a combination of 2, 3, 4, or all of them. So one of the strategies can be scaffolding, using videos and breaking down steps, use simplified language, making sure that we are doing hands-on learning, which is really simple for us to do in physical education since we're kinesthetic subject. One way to help our students organize their thoughts is giving them time, letting them speak in their language. And again, by combining many of these strategies in our lesson planning, it helps motivate the students to learn. I will talk about the strategies more in detail now. Some of the strategies that we can use in physical education to make sure to engage all of our students. Integrate students' home language, such as greeting them at the door when they come into the gym or they're going out to the field in their home language, maybe counting if our students can teach us how to count from 1 to 20 while we're stretching in their home language. There's one more way for us to connect with them, and they feel connected and welcome and accepted. Visual aids in their home language as well as English. And I will do a little activity later on today to show that strategy during the activity. Provide opportunities to increase verbal interaction with your students, like walk and talk with a partner. Use whole group response. This definitely decreases the anxiety of the student if he or she hears the entire group responding out loud and he or she is not singled out. Group students asked to reduce anxiety, such as a peer that speaks or understands the home language of that student, and let them talk and interact in their home language, as long as it's not interrupting, obviously, the instruction time and learning time. The use of total body response. This strategy is being quoted over and over in the book, which is, I think it's very simple for us to do in PE since we are using movement most of the time to learn. So let them show you what they've learned kinesthetically speaking. On the next strategies, or the next slide, include predictable routines and signals. One thing that I used when I was teaching middle school was the whistle. So one whistle meant go, two whistles means stop. And I used that only for stop and go. I didn't use the 1 and 2 whistles for anything else, so the kids understood. Even if they didn't understand the language, they got used to that signal and that routine. The warm-up was very predictable. The way they came into the gym or went outside to the field, we started the same routine 99% of the time. Giving directions orally with visuals and gestures. Making that's easy for us. I speak a lot with my hands, and I point to things that I have on the wall for my students. So I think we can do that in PE too. Take out a whiteboard out to the PE field and draw or just print out pictures ahead of time. Breaking down steps, scaffolding. Classroom teachers use this term a lot, and I think we can do that in PE too, since we're breaking down a skill for them, like overhand throw. So that's a very easy strategy that we can incorporate in PE that we're probably already doing. Pre-teaching words and vocabulary for simple activities. Over and over again in all the literature that I've been reading, it tells us that this is one of the important things to pre-teach. Again, having the visuals and the word, maybe having the visual with the word in English and different languages according to our population. Vocabulary and concept review throughout the lessons. Make sure we get feedback from our kids throughout the lesson, throughout the class time. You know, thumbs up, thumbs down, the nod of yes, no, making sure that we haven't lost the kids. Build and activate on background knowledge, and this is very important because a lot of our kiddos are coming to us with a lot of knowledge from their home country. So let's tap into that, allow them and give them the opportunity to show us what they know before we make any assumptions. And very important, speak slower, not louder. We got to remember that our students, most of the time, are not deaf. They just need more time to process and understand what we're asking of them. Things to avoid. Figurative language. Make sure that we don't confuse them. Use of assessments that relied on student mastery of reading and writing. So I know Mary talked about the Google Forms. That's great if we can get them translated into their home language if they're at a reading and writing grade level, and or pair them up with a friend who understands their home language and they can read the assessment to them and perhaps write the answer for them, or have an aide or a teacher read it to them and write it for them, or for them to speak into one of the apps that Mary mentioned earlier today. And avoid talking too long. Let's try to keep it short and concise. Let's see. So this is the activity. This is where you need that paper and pencil or writing utensil. I will give instructions in Spanish on how to do this activity, and then I will use the strategies that we talked about earlier. So I'll give you about a minute to go get your paper and pencil.
Veronica, while people are getting their pens and papers ready to go, did you mention the book that you were getting those strategies from, or is there a piece of literature that accompanies the things you were discussing? And if you did mention it, I apologize. Can you just speak on it again real quick?
Yes. One of the books is called 50 Strategies for Teaching English Language Learners, and it's by Adrian Herrell, Herrell, and Michael Jordan. And another of the books that I have is called Strategies to Use with Your English Language Learners. And this is for grade levels 1 through 3rd. And this one you can just find it at the teacher resource store.
Veronica, I'm going to ask you the name of that again. The first book was 50 Strategies
for Teaching English Language Learners. And it actually has a DVD inside, which is great.
Nice.
And it's mostly geared towards classroom teachers, but there's quite a few activities for PE that I definitely use.
And the second book you mentioned?
Strategies to Use with Your English Language Learners. And the author is Tracy Heskett, I think. Heskett.
And Veronica, you said the authors for the first book were Adrian Herrell and Michael Jordan?
Correct.
Okay.
Adrian as in a boy or a girl?
A female girl.
Okay, Adrian. Okay. And Michael Jordan. Like
yes.
how you got on that. I'm dating myself, I think.
I was going to ask the same thing.
Yeah, well, you know what? Who knows? He went to school and got a master's in singing.
Who knows?
And I'm sorry, Veronica, one more quick thing. You said Herrell was Herrell, right?
Correct.
Okay, I'm going to post that in Tazzle, so it's there for if anybody joins the discussion late, okay?
All right.
Yeah.
So let's get started with this activity. ¿Cómo hacer un perro de papel?
Yeah, she's going to talk completely in Spanish, everyone, so that, don't worry, she's going to do it again for us with all her strategies. So sit tight and try it.
¿Cómo hacer un perro de papel? Todo el mundo debe conseguir un pedazo de papel cuadrado que está en su casa. Primero, doble el papel por la mitad para formar un triángulo. Segundo, doble por la mitad. Mira cómo lo hago yo. Tercero, dobla el papel para formar las orejas del perro hacia abajo, usando el doblez como una guía. Cuarto paso, doble la parte superior e inferior de la cabeza lejos de ti. Al final, añada los ojos, una nariz y una boca y color. So that was my presentation on how to create a dog using paper. Now I'm going to exit.
You're going to go down to the bottom and take out the share.
And
I think it might be near the bottom.
Okay.
That's the one. All right. There's the teacher.
So here I am. Can you see me?
Absolutely.
Muy bien. So I'm going to start using some of the strategies. So, perro.
Perro. Perro. Dog. Perfect.
Papel,
Papel.
papel,
Papel.
papel. Doble,
Okay. O doble.
doble,
See, I start
doble.
speaking in French when you do this in Spanish. It's kind of funny.
Triángulo, triángulo,
Triángulo.
triángulo.
Triángulo. And I have no Spanish background, everybody, I have to say.
Boca,
Boca.
boca,
Mhm.
boca, boca.
La bouche en français.
Nariz,
Nariz.
nariz, nariz.
Nez en français. It's amazing how amazing they're so together. Ojos.
Ojos, ojos.
Okay.
Un perro de papel.
Un perro de papel. A paper
Perro.
dog.
Okay. Necesitas conseguir un pedazo de papel cuadrado.
Okay, tried my best. Square piece of paper.
Primero, dobla.
Fold it in half. In a triangle.
Hacer un triángulo. Triángulo.
Super.
Segundo,
Second step. Look in her language there. Turn it this way.
dóblalo por la mitad, como yo.
Do it again. In the middle or something, like you did before.
La
Okay.
punta para abajo.
Upside down point.
Tercer paso,
Third step.
dobla las orejas. Orejas.
Yes, in French, les oreilles. So I'm cheating a little bit here, people. How's it going on Long Island?
Very well. I'm trying to run everything in the back. I'm not folding.
All good.
Orejas.
Orejas. Yay.
Cuarto paso,
Fourth step.
dobla hacia atrás.
Turn back some piece of paper. I'm getting it all from your visual, from you doing it, not
Muy
from what
bien.
you're saying. So that's that. I turn around.
Al final,
Finalement, finally,
ojos,
okay, draw some eyes,
nariz
the
y
nose,
boca.
and the mouth. Let's do this. Okay, I'm trying. Big eyes. I bet you've never seen this on a Google Hangout before. So
Can't say I have.
I'm asking.
Voila.
Voilà, c'est français, merci.
Sí, sí.
C'est mon chien. And your,
All right. So
what's
this
the name
is
for the
how
dog?
this is how you make, and this will be Scratchy.
I don't have a name for my guy.
So this is how you make a dog out of a piece of paper. So that was the presentation. So first I started giving you the language, the vocabulary I was going to use. Since most of our viewers are English speakers, I just wrote the word in English with the visual. I think I talked a little bit slower than before when I wasn't using any
Absolutely.
strategies. One thing that I did forget, and I have on my notes, was to check for understanding throughout this little presentation on how to make a dog out of a piece of paper. So, but I think during a lesson during PE, it comes naturally to stop and check for understanding. I think during the presentation I kind of got carried away.
Oh, it was great.
So my last, let me see if I can share my screen again. Present. My very last slide. So in summary, some of the things that if you remember anything from our presentation, number one is make sure we're using visuals, a lot of visuals for our students. Number two, make sure we're modeling, using total body response, breaking down the steps, slowing down, checking for understanding throughout the lesson. Pre-teach the vocabulary, establish routines and signals to reduce student anxiety, and make sure we activate our students' background knowledge. Mary was doing a great job of activating her French, so she was trying to follow along, trying to understand some of the words that I was saying in Spanish that were similar to French. And lastly, but very important, with our ELL population, we need to remember that the social skills come first and academic language comes last. And it could take up to 7 years for that academic language to develop. So as long as our students are starting to feel comfortable in our class, feel connected, feel a sense of belonging, and are welcomed, feel welcomed, they will start socializing, and that's the first step towards learning. And I will exit my screen now. And am I still sharing my screen?
No, you're great now.
Okay,
That's great.
good.
I think you did great there.
Thank you.
Yeah, Veronica, that was terrific.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So that is the end of our presentation. If we have any questions or anybody wants clarification, we can do that now.
As of right now on the TOZL, there's some really good feedback. There isn't any questions, but I did have a couple of questions. In the schools, and it's for both of you, in the schools that the two of you work in, are there programs inside of the school to help the ELL learners feel more comfortable in an uncomfortable environment, or more comfortable just walking the hallways? And in addition to that, are there any programs of acceptance for the students growing up or that always grew up here or in your area to be more aware of some of the struggles of somebody moving to the area not speaking the language?
No, that's a good question. Like in my school, our entire population, almost all of it, I'm going to say 90% of it, is ELL. Like you'll get, 15 out of 20 students in the classroom that have ELL. So they have their own network, social network, to do their talking and meet. And for example, at my school, if I was going to roll out baseball last year, because the Jays weren't doing so well, they had no idea what baseball was, and they would, I set out some bases, and they would run to first base and keep on running, like out into the field, like goodbye. So this year, it's getting better because the Jays are doing better. Just sorry, Yankees. Sorry, guys. But when I pulled out the cricket last year, though, we got cricket equipment. I went and learned about cricket, and I got some free cricket equipment from our community sponsors, and they were all over it. So everybody was engaged. They want to play cricket. So you just have to. What we try to do is find what works for them, and try to do things that like soccer is really big, and cricket, that kind of the sports that they're enjoying. There are posters and things in our school, I know, about ethnicities, and everybody's from an ethnicity, so the ABCs of ethnicities, we've got that going on. And we just follow the tribes agreements regarding being inclusive, and that's sort of school-wide. So they know not to do put downs and include others in their games and all of that. So that's what's going on at our school. And there's always ELL support, like for their instructional learning as well. How about you, Veronica?
Well, Sally, here in northern Colorado, where I'm at, we in the district where I'm teaching right now, we have very few English language learners. The district just south of Windsor has a large population of ELL students, and I know they have a lot of community support, translation. They will reach out to the Spanish club at the university, at the local university, as well as the Spanish students, Spanish-speaking students, because I think that's the main language down south. In California, when I was teaching there, since 90% of our population was mostly Spanish speakers, we had everything both in Spanish and English. If I made a poster about running, I will have the word running in Spanish and English, and the visual. In the hallways, if they did a report, the kids, we were actually a dual language school, so they were able to write in Spanish if they wanted to. If they were doing a self-portrait about themselves for art, they were allowed to, describe their self-portrait in Spanish if they wanted to. Let's see. Yeah, so we had a lot, everything. Parent conferences were done in both languages. Here at the school where I'm at, I'm actually one of two people, three, including our custodian, that speaks Spanish, and we do the translation when needed. But yeah, we don't have a lot of resources for our English language learners here at our school, which is very different than just 5 miles south.
Yeah.
Right.
I was just going to mention also we have in our libraries dual language books, so the kids can see themselves in the books and the literature that is in our library, and they can read it in their own language, take it home, read it with their teacher, follow along like that. And yeah, we have our translators for our open parent nights and stuff like that. So yeah. We also have, for kids coming in, a program in Peel called We Welcome the World, and the kids come in and they go, like, they're directed to these welcoming centers in the school system where they get tested and they get understanding the immigration policies and all of that. It's great. And we're right near the Toronto International Airport, so we get a lot of new immigrants on a monthly basis here.
Oh, well, that's great. Well, you guys are doing great things inside of your gymnasiums, and we know that physical education provides a perfect platform to foster acceptance, and both of you ladies are definitely doing great things to make that happen in your schools. Simple things. Some people were mentioning on Tassel that they could start incorporating some of your strategies as soon as tomorrow. Even it's as simple as using music to connect all people, or greeting everybody at the door when they walk in.
Right.
Definitely easy things that you could implement right away if you're not doing them already. But if neither one of you have anything to share, we could wrap it up.
Yeah, that's great. I'm going to go start my word wall tomorrow.
Yay! Yes.
Well, thanks again, Charlie, and everybody for watching, and pass on the links to your friends who might be interested in learning about ELL strategies.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I think our Twitter handle is on our page too. And
Yeah. I'm going to share that on Tazzle. I'm going to share all the
Great.
Twitter handles on Tazzle so everybody can reach out to you if they want any more
Absolutely.
information.
Yes.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining in. I want to thank the ladies for a tremendous presentation. I want to thank the Phys Ed Summit for allowing us to put on these presentations tonight. And everybody, please, hashtag Phys Ed Summit, hashtag ESPE chat to get the conversation going. There are more presentations tomorrow night at the same time, 8 p.m. Eastern. So again, thank you everybody for joining in. I'm going to share the Twitter handles on Tazzle, and we hope to hear from you on Twitter or Voxer. Have a great night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.